Hello book lovers, welcome to Uncommon Reader. My name is Daniela and today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite authors, Jack London. In November I read John Barleycorn and I mentioned this book before, probably in my favorites of November video. And today I want to talk to you a little bit more about this book and a couple of other used books I've found in Oakland at Moe's, which is an amazing bookstore where you can find used books but also new releases. And just to give you a hint of what we're going to explore a little later, I found this copy and I'm going to tell you, this is a copy from 1928, which I found for $5. I couldn't believe my luck. I mean, this is so precious. We'll go through some of the pages together because I want to show you. And this pictorial biography, which is filled with photos. So we're going to explore this one, which I purchased for $6.99 as well. I couldn't believe my luck that day. But first, I'm going to talk to you about John Barleycorn. And there is actually a subtitle for this book, Alcoholic Memories, because this is a book where really Jack London is as most candid and genuine as he can be. This was published in 1913, only 3 years before he died. And it was inspired by a conversation that he had with his wife, Charmian, while they were staying at the Happy Ranch, which, by the way, I visited. If you are in California, Northern California, around the Sonoma Valley in Glen Ellen, there is this huge property where he used to live, where he was also farming. He's supposed to be one of the first organic farmers in Northern California. So go figure, he was already thinking about how to protect our environment, of all things. He was also a great animal activist as well for that time. It's incredible, all the things that he did and he experienced. I think there is no other man in the world that was more adventurous than him, or at least he lived like 10 different lives. So I believe that this book was received very poorly by his fans. And also the fact that he was so candid and genuine and honest in this book, telling all his adventures and approach with alcohol, that his critics used his information to attack him even more. But reading it now, I think modern readers will definitely appreciate more his candor. And actually, it's not just about his addiction with alcohol, which developed actually very late. And he was explaining what happened and how actually he used alcohol as a way to socialize with the group of people that he wanted to meet. In a way, it's a very tender portrait because he remembers his first encounters with alcohol, starting at age 5, when he was supposed to bring this bucket of beer to his father. And we'll learn later about his real dad and his adoptive father, John London. And while he was walking to bring this beer and his lunch to his dad, who was a farmer as well, he started to drink it. And so he got pretty sick of it. But ultimately, he didn't even like to drink. So he said at one point when he was a kid, but he, being really tall and big, he always looked a bit older than his real age. So he started really early working and getting jobs and doing weird things, because at one point he was an oyster pirate. It was forbidden, of course, to look for oysters in the Bay Area. But that was the crowd that he was with, and he didn't want to look weak or look like a little baby. So he used the alcohol as a way to show that he was a man, that he was a grown-up. He could hold alcohol much better than the people he was surrounded with that were also oyster pirates. And also when he sailed to Japan with a boat, he was among sailors, so of course they used to drink once they reached the port. But he also explained that he could go a month without touching alcohol because he really wasn't interested in its flavor. It was just a way to behave the way people behaved around him. So if you like Jack London, I believe you should give this book a try, because it's not just alcoholic memories. I think the tagline is kind of misleading in this book. He's actually sharing a lot of his personal adventures and inner thoughts that are quite special. I truly enjoyed this read. Now we're gonna peek through those two books I mentioned in the beginning of the video, and so I'm gonna show you what the books are about. So here we are. Let's go inside. I want to show you a few things. So this is Jack's mom. It looks like a little masculine face. In fact, even here, look, this is his mom, but it resembles him very much. And this is the earliest known picture of Jack London. How pretty. Early school picture. And this is it. This is him. These are all the houses he lived in Oakland. And I wanted to go for a little tour of the houses at these addresses, but I didn't have the book yet. So I think I'm going to do this and look of all these addresses and see if the house is still up. But it looks pretty run down to me, so it might not be available anymore. And this is a photo that's pretty popular because I've seen it also at the Happy Ranch, now Jack London Historical Park. It's pretty. And look at him here, already a grown-up. He's wearing an ice delivery apron. All the jobs that he did as a kid, amazing. But this doesn't really look like him. I don't know. Doesn't resemble him at all. Oh, and here we are. These are the sailor days at the Sophia Sutherland. With this boat, he went to Japan. Oh, and look at him. 17 years old. And he was already a sailor. So, and you can see how detailed this book is with pages and pages about his life. I love this photo of his years as a high school student. And this is where he lived while he was attending the Oakland High School in 1895. Pretty house. Camping here in his days as a gold miner. So much to read. I confess I haven't started reading this. And after his experience in the Klondike, he was back in Oakland in 1898, the birth pangs of a writer. He started to write and send his short stories around and got a few gigs. And here is Jack. In the first years, he started to write. He's pawning his bicycle, then he will get it back. He needed money. So the funny thing is that I forgot to tell you, and you will read it on John Barleycorn, is that he was very savvy with the money until he started to see that how paying for drinks at the bar would make him friends more easily with people. So he started to have a different approach with money, and actually that was very bad because he was really a spendthrifter and very generous actually with all his friends. This is the photos of Charmian in 1900. This is his second wife. And this is Bessie. I think this is his first wife. And Jack in a relaxing mood. Anna Starksey. It was very fruitful collaboration and a good friend of Jack London. I heard of her through Irving Stone biography, and this is his first daughter, Joan. Cute. I had forgotten to show you Jack London's real dad, Professor William H. Cheney, who refused to be a father to him. So when Flora married John London, Jack decided to keep his stepdad last name. And here we are when he became a war correspondent during the Russian-Japanese War. All pictures. And it's a funny story as well when he was a correspondent, because he was trying to sneak in, not giving his credit as a journalist. So he was sneaking in, and he was able actually to tell very interesting stories during that time. And here he is. Exclusive war photograph made from the Examiner by Jack London. He was also a photographer. Oh, look at this photo of him. How pretty. Here's another great photo from the Bohemian Club's annual hijinks in 1904. And this is Bess. Bess London was an early reader, and like her father, has been a voracious reader all her life. Look at this, all these posters. When he started to become a little famous, he would be, here we are, Glen Ellen in the Valley of the Moon. This place is magic, I tell you. You have to go visit if you visit San Francisco. It's about an hour and a half north of San Francisco. Here they are, Jack and Charmian. They were very funny. There are so many fun photos of the two of them. They were a great couple. Look at them. So fun. And here, beautiful candid photo. Jack and George Wharton James discuss a passage in one of Jack's books. He loved to read to his friends. Jack was also at one point very politically involved. He was interested in socialism, although he abandoned it later in life. But he would really have the workers' interest at heart. And then the San Francisco earthquake came. And at that time, Jack was building the Snark, the boat. He's telling the story on this precious book I bought and I showed you earlier. And most of the boat got destroyed, so they had to start doing it again. And here are some pictures from the summer and fall of 1906. And here it is with these cactuses. Actually, they still are there in the Happy Ranch, and he was actually trying to raise spineless cactus on his ranch. This picture was taken on Burbank's Place. From left to right, Edgar, Lucius, Larkin, Luther, Burbank, and Jack London. And look at this. This is so pretty. This is Jack and Charmian's favorite photo, and I can tell why. Beautiful, candid photo. It was taken in the studio of Annie Brigman prior to the sailing of the Snark. And of course, Charmian was coming along for the ride. Finally sailing. That was quite an adventure. In Irving Stone's biography of Jack London, the Snark adventure was very detailed with all the mishaps and problems that they had to put it on the sea. It was very, very tough and expensive. And look at these comics from the San Francisco Examiner. Wow. This book is precious, I tell you. Jack at Wheel of the Roamer. It's the new boat. He doesn't even look like him. Wow. And he'll be coming in the late years. This is 1913. And this is unfortunately the ruins of the Wolf House he was building. Unfortunately, they're still there. And Jack believed it was arson fire. And only recently, in the 60s, 1960s also, they figured out that it was actually an accident. He was building this house. He wanted to have a bigger house. The cottage where he was living with Charmian was smaller, and they wanted to have a bigger house to host their friends. And this is the most popular picture of Jack. It's actually one of my favorites, as him on the Roamer in 1914, and it was shot by Charmian, his wife. And here more photos of the two while they were on their Hawaii vacation. They traveled quite a lot. In fact, a museum at the State Historical Park, it's filled with their memorabilia from their trips. And here's some of the latest photos taken in 1916, the year of his death. And I'm sure that once I start reading this pictorial book, I'm going to tell you more if I find interesting facts about Jack. And here's another autobiographical book by Jack London, The Cruise of the Snark, where he's sharing all his adventures on the boat he built. And this is still unread for me, and I look forward to discover from his own words what happened during that famous or infamous cruise, because he had to abandon it once arrived in Australia. They reached Australia, so he was supposed to do a trip around the world. Oh, this is so hard to keep open by itself, but they never made it to do the tour around the world. He was supposed to report and write about it for, I believe it was the Cosmopolitan. But again, this was a trip filled with souvenirs, memorabilia, and very frightful adventures as well. He also got sick, very sick, while in Australia. That's why they also had to abandon the cruise. I wouldn't call it a cruise, by knowing fairly well what happened to him. But again, that was someone else's words. So I would probably trust Jack London's memories of that trip. So with this, we end this Jack London reportage. Thank you, Jack London. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and you would consider supporting my channel with a like and a comment. I look forward to see you here on Uncommon Reader very soon. Next week, I want to respond to a tag that's very much in my alley. So I'll see you back here on Tuesday. Thank you and happy reading. Ciao.